Picture an 8-year-old standing inside Chicago O'Hare on a Monday morning. Announcements are echoing across the terminal, travelers are rushing past, and that kid is about to board a flight without mom or dad. It's a situation that easily makes any parent anxious. You instantly start wondering about TSA security, flight delays, or what happens if the plane gets diverted. Thousands of children fly alone across the US every year through unaccompanied minor programs. However, it's a highly structured process, not just a matter of handing your kid to a friendly flight attendant and hoping for the best. Airline rules are strict, and a single oversight can ruin the trip at the check-in counter or cause major delays during pickup. Before booking that first solo ticket, you should know exactly what the airline handles, what falls on your shoulders, and what your child needs to be ready for. Let's go. The first surprise usually happens before you even get to the airport. You can't just buy a regular ticket, drop your kid off at the terminal, and hope a staff member points them toward the gate. Airlines need to know ahead of time that a child is traveling alone because it changes how the booking is handled from check-in to arrival. Age is the biggest factor, and policies vary by airline. Kids under 5 usually can't fly alone at all. There is no single industry-wide age rule. American, Delta, and United generally require service from ages 5 through 14, while other airlines use different cutoffs. Teenagers up to 16 or 17 can often travel as regular passengers, but you can usually pay extra for the service if you want peace of mind. That optional coverage is smart for a teenager who handles normal flights fine, but might panic when a gate changes 3 times during a massive storm at Dallas-Fort Worth. The service costs extra, often around $150 each way on major airlines, although the fee structure varies and may cover multiple siblings traveling together. While it might look like you're just paying for someone to walk your kid through the terminal, that fee covers the logistics of flagging the reservation, coordinating ground staff, notifying the cabin crew, and managing the strict handoff process at the destination. When filling out the booking forms, double-check that the pickup adult's name matches their physical ID exactly. A simple nickname can hold up the entire handoff. Your choice of flight is just as critical. A nonstop flight is usually the simplest and lowest risk option. In fact, some airlines won't even let younger kids book connections. They want to avoid scenarios where a child gets stranded. Picture an 8-year-old connecting through Denver on the last flight of the night. If a storm hits and the flight gets canceled, an adult can easily book a hotel or rent a car. A kid can't. To avoid this, stick to early morning, non-stop departures whenever possible. It gives the airline the whole day to figure out a backup plan if weather or mechanical issues disrupt the schedule. This is one trip where the cheapest itinerary may create the most expensive headache. So, before putting your card down, call the airline to verify age limits, approved routes, and exact document requirements. Don't assume the rules are the same across the board. One airline might allow a 12-year-old on a connecting flight, while another completely bans it. Getting these details right early saves you from a massive headache at the check-in counter. Airport day requires way more time than a normal trip. This isn't the morning to show up 45 minutes before takeoff with a coffee in one hand and your kid's backpack in the other. Airlines usually want families at the airport about 2 hours before a domestic flight and even earlier for international travel. You'll also need to head straight to a staff ticket counter. Mobile check-in and airport kiosks won't work for this. An agent needs to review the paperwork, check your ID, confirm who's picking up the child on the other end, and hand over the travel documents. Your kid will likely get a lanyard, wristband, or a pouch to wear. While they might feel a little self-conscious wearing it, that marker is crucial. It signals to airport staff that this passenger needs supervision and shouldn't be left alone. Next, you'll get a gate pass. This looks like a regular boarding pass but doesn't give you a seat on the plane. It simply allows you to go through TSA security so you can walk your kid all the way to the departure gate. Once you clear security, go straight to the gate and check in with the agent. Don't just sit down and assume the system handled everything. It helps to walk up and say something simple like, "My daughter is flying as an unaccompanied minor. Is there anything else you need from me before boarding?" This gives the agent a chance to check the file and explain how the boarding process will work. Unaccompanied minors usually board first. Early boarding gives the flight attendants time to meet your kid and show them to their seat before the main crowd rushes down the aisle wrestling with carry-on bags. Once your kid walks down the jet bridge, your brain might tell you it's time to head home, but you aren't cleared to leave just yet. Airlines require the accompanying adult to stay at the gate or inside the terminal until the plane is safely in the air. A flight can push back from the gate and still return due to a mechanical issue, bad weather, or an air traffic control delay. If the plane has to turn around, the airline needs you there to take custody of your kid. So grab another coffee and wait until the gate agent explicitly tells you that the flight has cleared. Once your kid steps onto the plane, responsibility shifts from the gate agents to the cabin crew. A ground employee walks them down the jet bridge, hands over the paperwork to a flight attendant, and makes sure the crew knows exactly who they're looking after before general boarding starts. The kid is then shown to their assigned seat. The airline will assign a seat where the crew can keep track of your child, but the exact location varies. Some airlines place unaccompanied minors toward the rear, near the flight attendants, while others use designated rows based on the aircraft. While these rows can be a bit noisier and have more foot traffic, they keep your child right in the crew's line of sight, making it much easier to notice if they need help. Before takeoff, a flight attendant will briefly go over the basics, like showing them where the restroom is and how the call button works. What the crew won't do, however, is hang out next to your child the entire flight. Flight attendants have a long list of safety duties and an entire cabin of passengers to look after. They'll check in periodically and step in when needed, but they can't act as a personal babysitter. A shy 9-year-old will get plenty of reassurance, but probably not a 3-hour conversation about Minecraft. Because of this, make sure your kid knows how to speak up. Teach them to press the call button once, wait, and clearly tell the flight attendant what they need. They shouldn't wander down the aisle looking for crew members, especially when the seatbelt sign is on. They also need to know that they must check with the crew before changing seats or accepting anything from other passengers. Even if a friendly traveler is just trying to help, your kid should never be in a position where they have to guess which stranger to trust. A simple phrase works perfectly. I need to ask the flight attendant first. Usually, the flight itself goes smoothly since everyone is seated and movement is limited. The real test comes if the schedule changes. A routine trip is easy enough to manage. Your kid boards, stays under crew supervision, and lands at the scheduled destination. The real anxiety kicks in when the aircraft doesn't land where or when you expected. Imagine your child is flying from Chicago to Orlando. Thunderstorms suddenly close the airport and the flight diverts to Jacksonville. The pickup adult is now hours away. Every passenger is scrambling to rebook, and the original plan is out the window. While an adult traveler can easily book a hotel, call a rideshare, or switch to a different route, an unaccompanied minor can't improvise. The airline must keep your child supervised while figuring out the next steps. Depending on the airline, your kid's age, and available flights, staff might put them on another departure, keep them in a designated lounge, or even fly them back to the airport they started from. Rest assured, the airline won't just hand your kid a hotel voucher and leave them to figure it out alone. This is a major reason to ask about disruption policies before travel day. Find out how the airline handles cancellations, diversions, or overnight delays. Sometimes, the safest option is for the airline to fly the child back to you, even if it's inconvenient. Make sure your kid knows one golden rule if things go wrong. Don't try to solve the problem themselves. They need to stay with airline staff, even if another passenger on the flight offers to help. A teenager might think they're mature enough to follow a friendly family to another terminal, but that's exactly how the airline's protective chain gets broken. Both the drop-off and pickup adults must stay reachable the entire day. If the airline calls from an unfamiliar number, answer it immediately. When speaking with staff, skip the angry speeches and focus on getting facts. Ask where your child is right now, who is watching them, what the backup plan is, and if you need to drive to a different airport. A disruption can turn a short flight into a long, exhausting day for the whole family. But this is exactly when the UM service proves its worth. The strict, inflexible rules might feel frustrating, but that lack of improvisation is exactly what keeps your child safe and accounted for, while everyone else is stuck in airport chaos. Once the flight finally lands, there's just one last verification step left. The wheels touch down, the seatbelt sign turns off, and almost everyone stands up instantly as if the plane is about to be sold for parts. Overhead bins fly open, phones start ringing, and passengers crowd the aisle, already stressing about baggage claim or their next flight. An unaccompanied minor doesn't join that rush. Kids using the service are usually asked to stay seated until everyone else has left. This keeps them from getting swept into a packed jet bridge or accidentally following the wrong group into the terminal. Once the cabin clears, a flight attendant walks your kid to the exit and hands them over to a ground employee. Meanwhile, the pickup adult should already be waiting inside. Don't assume you can just cruise by the arrivals curb and expect someone to bring your kid outside. Depending on the airport, you'll need to park, head to the ticket counter, show your ID, grab a gate pass, go through TSA, and walk all the way to the arrival gate. Large airports mean parking, security, and unexpected gate changes will take time, so get there early. Know the flight number and bring the exact physical ID the airline requires. A photo of your driver's license on your phone won't cut it, a work badge isn't a government ID, and a Costco card, even with a surprisingly good photo, is still just a Costco card. This is exactly why your booking details need to be flawless. Say the reservation lists the pickup person as Mike Thompson because that's what everyone calls him. Mike shows up, but his driver's license reads Michael Andrew Thompson. Even if your kid runs up and hugs him, the employee might still hold up the release. Airline staff can't just take a kid's word for it. Their sole job is to match the face at the gate with the official name on the booking. While a quick phone call from mom or dad might help start resolving the issue, it won't guarantee an instant pass. The airline will likely have to update the official record before your kid can leave. The strictness can feel incredibly frustrating in the moment, but it's completely intentional. If the gate agents released a child just because they said, "Yeah, I know him," security would depend entirely on an exhausted 8-year-old in a chaotic airport. If your pickup plans change, contact the airline immediately. Don't just send a different relative and assume the staff will figure it out. Keep your phone handy around landing time in case there are delays or documentation issues. Once the airline verifies the ID and you sign the paperwork, your kid is officially out of their care. That final handoff looks simple from the outside, but it successfully closes a protective chain that started hours earlier at the departure gate. The only question left is whether your kid was personally ready for everything that happened between those two airports. An airline might accept your reservation, but that doesn't automatically mean your kid is ready for the trip. Age gets them through the booking system, but maturity gets them through the actual experience. A confident 10-year-old who follows directions and speaks up when something is wrong will handle the flight beautifully. Meanwhile, a nervous 13-year-old who freezes whenever plans change might really struggle, even though the airline considers them old enough. Before buying that ticket, ask yourself 3 honest questions. Can your child manage basic needs alone, like using the airplane restroom, opening food packaging, and keeping track of their things? Will they clearly tell an adult if something goes wrong, like saying, "I feel sick," or "I lost my phone"? And will they follow the airline's instructions, even if a friendly stranger offers an easier alternative? That last question is huge because kids are taught to be polite to helpful adults. If a kind passenger offers to carry their bag or walk them to another gate, your kid needs to know that any changes must go through airline staff first. The ability to ask for help is probably the most important skill of all. Some kids are so determined to look grown up that they'll hide problems. They'll sit through a stomachache or look at a dead phone simply because they don't want to press the call button and attract attention. Give them explicit permission to speak up. Tell them you're not being annoying when you ask a flight attendant for help. That's exactly what they're there for. Practice a few quick scenarios at home. Ask what they'd say if they felt sick or if the flight got delayed. You aren't trying to scare them with disaster stories. You're just giving them a few automatic responses before they land in a loud, unfamiliar airport. For a first solo trip, a short daytime flight is a much gentler test than a cross-country journey. Pack them one small, comfortable carry-on bag that they can manage independently. Fill it with easy-to-open snacks, headphones with downloaded movies, a charging cable, essential medication, and a paper card with important phone numbers. Avoid overloading them with multiple bags or complicated gear they don't know how to use. Also, take a quick photo of your kid's outfit and bag on the morning of the flight. so both adults have a current visual reference. Parents need some emotional prep too. It's tempting to describe every single danger so your kid stays cautious, but overwarning usually backfires. Your child might end up convinced that normal turbulence means an emergency. Keep your explanations calm. Let them know delays happen, crews get busy, and if they're ever confused, they should just ask an airline representative. Kids feed off the energy of the adults around them. If you treat the journey as a serious but manageable responsibility, they'll feel capable. If your goodbye looks like the final scene of a disaster movie, they're gonna board expecting the worst. Sending your kid on a plane alone probably won't ever feel completely normal. You watch them walk down that jet bridge, trusting people you've never met to get them where they need to go. The whole process can be pricey, slow, and honestly, a bit inconvenient. But these strict rules are there to keep things predictable when predictability matters most. Of course, you'll still probably spend the entire flight refreshing the airline tracker every 40 seconds. That part is completely normal too. If you've flown your kids solo before, what worries you the most? A potential cancellation, the flight itself, or the pickup process? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Hopefully, you now have a much clearer roadmap for travel day. To help other families navigate the airport chaos, go ahead and hit that like button, share this video with a parent getting ready for a solo flight, and subscribe for more practical travel advice. Safe travels!